Sure, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, you guys are imposing a mandate on kids. Why?
The reason we've got our current mandate is we need to operate within the current government guidelines, and that currently for all extracurricular sport, which is everything that we offer, that comes under the CPS. If people are unvaccinated, we're allowed a maximum gathering size of 25 people. The reality is, with 25 people, most of our events can't take place.
So how young are the kids who are affected by this?
So College Sport Auckland works in the secondary school space, so the students we work with are mainly aged between 13 and 18.
13 and what was it, 17?
18.
18. So it's anybody as young as 13 in order to participate in any sport. Is it any sport has to be jabbed?
No, we're talking extracurricular sport here, Heather, and the difference is, and I think this is where perhaps some of the misunderstanding has come, within the education setting, anything curriculum-based, there is absolutely no vaccine mandates, and I think that's what the Prime Minister was referring to today in her comments. But any after-school activity comes under the COVID protection framework and the gathering requirements.
When you talk about when you talk about stuff that's happening in school, that's PE, isn't it? Swimming lessons and stuff like that. Extracurricular stuff is all your rugby, all your soccer, your netball, your hockey, all of that stuff, though.
Yeah, so extracurricular essentially is anything that's voluntary after school. The students can opt in if they choose to.
Which is the good stuff, Mark, isn't it? Because nobody likes the PE.
Sports, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that, but sport's really important to schools. It's not... Education is not just about the classroom, and extracurricular activities and sports included in that, of course, have got a huge part to play in the education of the young people.
Do you think that this is... look, I understand that actually the rules as they are mean you have no option right now under the red setting. But to your mind, is this proportionate on kids?
Yeah, as I said, we have no option. Without a vaccine mandate, the maximum gathering we can have is 25 people.
Yeah.
And 100 people if people are vaccinated. Of course, without any settings in place, without the restrictions of the COVID protection framework, it's very unlikely that sport would have any sort of vaccine policy, because we want students to participate.
So can I take it, and I do accept that you have no option. I understand you have no option under the government rules. But let's just talk about the principle here. Do you think it's fair on the children?
It was a really difficult decision, and we discussed at length with the College Sport Board back in December when the framework came into force. We surveyed our schools. We did a sample survey of vaccination rates in schools across deciles, and all that came back above 90%. We sent that data to our schools. 86% are member principals, and we've got 110 schools that we work with. 86% were in favour, which gave us a very strong direction to head in.
If you had an option, right, if you could choose and you were not bound by any rules, would you enforce this mandate?
We have to operate within the current government guidance. If the government guidelines were different, then we would operate within those guidelines and maximize participation.
Okay, so if the rules were relaxed and you didn't have to enforce this mandate on children, would you?
If the rules are relaxed, the College Sport Board are committed to reviewing our policy every 6 weeks, so at every board meeting that we hold.
Yeah.
We can probably review it quicker than that. And it's possible policy will change.
Yeah. How many children do you think are being cut out of extracurricular sport?
Well, we know that we've got about 60,000 students involved in our events. We know the vaccination rates are about 90%. So there's a few thousand students that could be missing out, which is really unfortunate. And that's not what anybody wants. It's certainly not what we want as an organisation.
No. And especially after the disruption of 2 years, right? What they probably need is just to get back to being normal kids, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, and we're trying to do that, Heather. There was a huge lockdown last year in Auckland, as you know. There was no school sport between August the 17th and the end of the school year. This year we are offering opportunities, and we're able to do that with our vaccine mandate under the current settings. And just an example of that, Heather, is we held our head harbour rowing regatta on Saturday last week, and we had over 300 students participating in that. We were able to do that because we split the students into different bubbles. into their school bubbles, so they were all less than 100. And the only time they came together was to race in their groups of 6. So although mandates are in place, we're doing everything we possibly can to get people active and get school sport up and running again.
Okay, Mark, thank you. I really appreciate you talking us through. That's Mark Barlow, who is the CEO of College Sport Auckland. So, yeah, if the vaccine uptake is, 90%, then it's not that for children, by the way. If it was, it's much, much lower for young people. If it was, then it's affecting 60,000 children. Then you've got potentially as many as 6,000 children who are skipping out, missing out, let's be honest, missing out on the extracurricular activities. I'd like to know what you think of that. 9292 is the text number. We'll do sports next, 4:17. Radio.